Hey guys, it's Al from Altruistic Channel, and I am getting ready for work, but I was supposed to come down here and kind of address um, a larger question. And being that I'm on such a roll and making so many people happy with the downloads I'm getting, this one's going to be one for the books. Okay, so this is going to be a lesson in karmic lessons. Let's say that you were around in the 1970s and you were born during that era. This does not apply to you. If you were born anywhere after 1972, this is not aimed at you. But let's go a little bit before you were born. Something was going on the planet that was wrong and violated a lot of people's, not only their rights, but humanitarian efforts. And violated a lot of people in a way that was absolutely horrendous. And those of you born after 1972 remember the pictures of what Vietnam looked like. And what it was like to be around in that time. There was a social revolution that took place, and people started to picket and to fight for the rights of these people that were victimized and tortured and all these unbelievable things that nobody wants to talk about, the crimes against humanity that occurred during that war. That's not the part that you're going to find controversial. How old are those people now? The people who were involved in the perpetration and the continuation of that inhumane act of Vietnam. How old are they now? How many of them are, let's say, around the age of, I don't know, victims of the coronavirus? At that age level where they're most susceptible to it. That is how it was praised to me. But that's not the kicker. Seeing that life is cyclical, a pandemic swept through the United States and through the world at large that left our uncles in tents, alone, crucified, victimized, and told that they were the abominations of earth, left to die painfully, degradedly, in makeshift morgues, with no one ever touching them again. It was the epidemic called AIDS. It was the HIV strain when it first hit the airwaves, so to speak. That is where the karmic lesson comes in. It's kind of ironic in a weird way that the people that are most susceptible to this particular coronavirus are at the same age that would be the people who witnessed this and did not do anything to stop it or to help those poor innocent men that died oh so painfully in those hospitals. When I say I didn't sleep, I'm not kidding. You see, we have gone very lazy on this karmic debt thing. Always believing that we would be somehow able to do it next lifetime. That we're going to we have an opportunity to make amends for it if we can't do it this lifetime. Well, that's not how global ascension works. You see, time is speeding up. Actions have immediate reactions. We are being realigned, whether you are spiritual or not. Some might say, and this is key, I don't pass judgment on anybody. I really don't. I've learned not to do that. But some might say that it's a little bit of poetic justice, that the same people who perpetrated the moral majority hypocritical bullshit are now at the hands and mercy of the divine and the universe at large as to whether or not they are going to be able to make it through the coronavirus. Where they are quarantined, left alone to do what? Face their maker on their own terms, similarly to what they did as crimes against humanity towards others. That might be considered poetic justice to some. To me, I consider that a lesson in karma. These are not easy conversations, and I take no pleasure in this because that's a lot of people that I know. I am a cusper. I'm in my 40s. I watched this play out. There's a big pressure that you should be feeling by now if you are ascending on the whole thing about children. Children are the answer to many things to come, and they are absolutely key to what is going to happen next. It's kind of reminiscent of my feelings towards this particular topic. You see, I was a child that witnessed the crimes against the gay community during the AIDS epidemic, and the fear and this mass hysteria that took over. And look what it did. It did insurmountable damage to our karmic debt. And not only that, but it changed the vibration of our planet in a way that I cannot describe to you from what I've seen. That was man-made. That was what we decided to do by not acting in alignment with God. The right side of friendship was not visible. And now you might be having to come to terms with your own mini version of that. There are no coincidences on this planet. If you still believe in coincidences, then you need your bubble popped. You see, the children are watching your reaction. Your kids are gifted. Many of them are autistic. Autism is going to play a major factor in the world at large. And your failure to see how gifted they are is your own undoing. Leadership is about standing in place of adversity and saying what needs to be said. You may not like me, I don't really care. I'm not here to be your friend. My role is not here to be, I'm not trying to be butt queen in jail. I am telling you what's going to help you understand a different perspective on what's going on. This pandemic, quote unquote, is coincidentally also in an election year being used very strategically to distract you from what really is important, and you're playing all too well into the hand. The reason why this is such a big deal is because this affects the baby boomers, and the baby boomers are the perpetrators of both Vietnam. They were part of that, and they were also part of the AIDS epidemic. Kind of interesting that they are the most susceptible to this disease. They are also the most toxic generation in hypocrisy. That is not my judgment. That is how it was phrased to me. You see, there's a lot of great people in that generation that are not going to be affected by the coronavirus. There are a lot of people on the planet that will never even have to deal with this on first-hand basis. But you're being manipulated into believing that somehow this affects your life. It doesn't unless you let it. The question I want to ask everybody is, what is it that you're not facing? Stop looking at this bullshit and start looking at yourself. At the end of the day, you will still be standing when this all passes, and you will have to face the next wave. And then you won't get an option as to a precursor or a foreshadow effect. You're being given a glimpse at what is possible in karmic real time. And the question is, are you paying attention? This does not affect me at all. If I get something, I will beat it. These are footsteps that have already been laid for me. There's nothing for me to do now other than to walk my path. That is what Ascension does. That is when you take it seriously and you work your shit. You will falter and you will make mistakes. You better, because otherwise why be here? You are being realigned, and you're being realigned in a very dramatic way, but I'm kind of wondering what it is you're not facing. If you were born in 1972 and above, this is not going to affect you in the slightest. What the fuck are you running to get toilet paper for? No pun intended, but you got bigger shit to worry about than what's on your hands right now. This is just a glimpse at what's to come. This is called thinning of the herd. This is called karmic debt being paid for a lot of people who did a lot of bad things to a lot of good people. I'm not saying all of them, because there are a lot of people who are innocent bystanders who that are being offered the ability to check out early. That is a gift, but instead of seeing it as a gift, everyone's running around seeing it as a curse. So you have an option. Either you're paying karmic debt, or you're being given an option to leave early, so that you do not have to go through the ascension process, and you do not have to encounter what the rest of us will be dealing with as time goes on. Personally speaking, I'd rather think that I'm being given a opportunity to leave in a very, very peaceful way. Last time I checked, even though it seems very uncomfortable, and it is, a cold is a cold. A virus is very, very sick. It makes your body very, very weak. But there also comes a point when you hit a fever, and you might actually just be able to sleep away into the abyss. I don't think that's going to be said for all the people who we killed in Vietnam, or that died in Vietnam. I don't think that can be said for those that died of HIV who are left in tents to die painfully and degradedly and alone. I'm not passing judgment. I'm just telling you how it was phrased to me. I've had all night to think about this. And here's why I am who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Is because at the end of the day, you and I are being tasked with leadership. I'm not speaking to just anybody. If you're watching my video, you are a leader. You are bosses. I'm not just speaking to anybody. This is for ascended masters, for elders. This is for the bosses. These are kings and queens who are moving into emperor and empress ships. You are tasked with mastering this, and I'm speaking to you. Anyone of any other vibration, I don't care. They have their own people, their own paths to walk, and it's not that I'm being grandiose. I have my turf, so to speak, and my turf is the leaders. What are you not facing? If you are afraid of this coronavirus and you are in your 40s and 30s and 20s, what are you afraid of? Find the underlying factor, root cause it, get rid of it, and let it go. Ascension is never going to be easy. And whether you believe in spirituality or not, you will by the time that this year is over. I guarantee it. You cannot thumb your nose at the divine and then ask for his help all the time. You call it the universe, or you call it science, or you call whatever the fuck you think it is still the infinite source of all things, and they have grown tired of being in a situation where no one wants to do anything. Do something. There are breadcrumbs. I've left a lot myself. I've been channeling this energy for the past 4 years. There are 3 books on Amazon, the last one being The Arcs to Eden. I suggest you read it. The cloak is coming off of me, but only to those that are seekers worthy of getting the information, and that's not egoish, that is how they want me to say it. Do not worry about what's going on my side of the fence, because my side is clean. Clean up your shit. When I say that they are being super direct with me, I'm talking about the fact that they want me to phrase it exactly how I am. You see, the Church of Scientology did a really wonderful thing for me. They destroyed my soul, and I had to rebuild it step by step by step. But I was also part of something called the Commander's Messengers, meaning that I work for the top. And my delivery of instructions is unparalleled. Everything is training, isn't it? You can only walk your path in your truth. But if you're not willing to find what the truth is, and if you're not willing to see beyond the ego or the hurt or the anger or the stress or the whatever it is, you cannot ascend. And this is going to be an incredibly painful and degrading kind of experience for you, because you are going to have to be stripped of your ego. I thought mine was bad because they took my house and I became homeless and this whole thing went down. I have never been better. To my husband, honey, you and I are married in a very sacred way in the 5D. You know this. I don't know what it is that you're waiting on, but it's time to move on. There's a lot of things going on, sweetheart, that we need to get in alignment with ourselves. You may have amassed quite a bit in the 3D, but I have quite a bit in the 5D, and we need to start putting these things together. I love you very much. I know that we've had previous lives together, and it's going to sound really wacky to a lot of people, but that's not my problem. I'm speaking to you directly. You know what our future holds. I've seen it too. Why are you doubting it? What is it that you're in? There's no security here. There's nothing bad going to happen. If anything, it's unprecedented love like has never been seen before. There is a mass amount of empire that we're going to build in multiple dimensions. Our life is blessed just in knowing each other. Our energy frequencies and signatures have risen already. These are all things that are destined. And it's time for you and I to make this decision once and for all, because I'm being pulled in different directions. And my life is now completely not going where I thought it was going. And it's going to play out very publicly. And so I'd rather you be part of it than to have to play catch up later. So as much as I love you, sweetie, do you want this? If you want it, make it happen. If I'm correct, you can drive from Florida to Louisiana and pick my ass up. If you are not able to smile right now, if you are not able to find the humor in the ridiculousness of what you're experiencing, then find the humor in it. Center your energies, guys. This is not a biblical catastrophe. This is called karma in life, in one lifetime. And it's not like one person did anything worse than anybody else. This is a collective karmic debt that is being paid. If you are making this personal, then you are living in ego. This does not apply to you. You cannot get to what I'm talking to. If you are living from your hoo-ha, or you're still living from your dick in a gender role, that is not how this works. You need to have risen above that by now. Your ego should be absolutely gone. There is no pleasure in what I'm having to do, and it only gets, honestly, it gets even heavier from here. You go, boys. Yeah, tell them. The birds are just agreeing with me there. Like I said, my task is so specific and it's so heavy that I don't think there's another soul that ever could do it, with the exception of my partner and my best friend, who may be one and the same. It depends on what they do. Find your grace, man. That's all I can tell you. I've spent I need to get my own place. I'm so grateful to be able to stay on my friend's couch, but they are in a state of, one of them is working through actual fear related to the coronavirus. And she's one of the strongest people I know, but for some reason she's having to work through it. I need to make a correction to one of a mentor of mine. She channeled energy about me, specifically. And she made a comment how I had left my family in a past life during an epidemic, and that I am having to pay that back. Correction, sweetheart. I was left in the last epidemic to die alone. And my partner and I had a contract this lifetime. I had to let that contract go because this person decided that drugs were more important than I was. And once again, they decided to choose another option over me. I had a choice to make. Would I still stay this time and die again, painfully and heartbroken? Or was I going to save myself? Natalie, that's what happened. There's nothing wrong with what you channeled. You were right. It was just a little bit of role reversal. That's why I'm so strong about standing for this. It's not because I owe anybody anything. This person now has to go and live their own life. This was a soul contract of a very, very important role for the elders, and that is now null and void. That was a divine intervention. It had to happen because otherwise I was going to go down with that ship. And we would be repeating the cycle again. So no, sweetheart. I didn't leave my family. He chose to leave. And me and my kids died. That's what happened. Like I said, guys, being an elder is not fun. It's not I don't even think I'm an elder. I don't know. I have no ego in whatever. I'm just someone who has a big title in a role. The Hierophant. I still can't believe that. By the way, they dressed me again. Let's wear the purple. I guess today's a purple day. Something about nobility. I don't know. I just go with what they tell me, but that's what they said. The thing about being a psychic is that sometimes you can read energy, but you're not always sure whose energy is what. There was an old version of me that would have been triggered by the fact that someone actually accused me of being the lever as opposed to the person who suffered through the... And then I realized that that's just not me anymore. It's not on my registry. So that's why I have no problem saying this. You didn't say anything wrong, but I just wanted to clarify. No. I did not leave my family. I got left. And I died very, very degradedly and very, very, very heartbroken. That's life. Shit happens. Remember, the lives that you're about to see, people that are coming into their positions and their power, people that have been granted the ability to carry Christ consciousness, are now about to become super abundant in a way that flips the bitch. You see, while the rest of the world goes into chaos and has to start paying off the debt that they owe, the rest of us who are blessed and are part of the chosen, or whatever you want to call it, are getting the reward to balance and offset all of the other part that's now taking effect in the other end. It's called balance. It's called life. Center your energy. There are things that I'm going to be saying to you over the next 3 days that you're not going to like. And I'm only going to do it for 3 days. They have me specifically stopping after 5 days and then let you guys have a week, a solid 7 days to work it out yourself. So, every day, I just keep getting bombarded with downloads. A lot of psychic attacks, although they really aren't, they're not doing anything anymore. I mean, I feel the pressure from it, but whoever this is, well, whoever you are, because there's more than one. Again, I was never in the game, so you can imagine how little power you have over me. If anything, I just feel like the pressure coming at me, and I just kind of giggle about it. Because instead of worrying about your side of the road, you're worried about what I'm doing. Notice that I didn't get to become what I'm about to become by seeking it. It sought me. Energy seeks like energy. Why don't you worry about raising your vibration and bringing stuff like this to you? Are you the Empress, or are you just a metal little page? These are all questions you have to deal with. It's not my bag. It's not my show. But for those of you who are leaders stepping into your power, please understand. It's not going to be an easy road, but it's going to be worth it. A lot of you who have suffered insurmountable things, you can sense it. As Natalie put it, you can feel the hooves and the wheels. Well, not the wheels, but you can feel the hooves and the traction from the chariot approaching you. Well, for me, it's already on top of me, and I'm looking at it. You wanted Eden. Utopia can't exist, right? Utopia is a state of an unrealistic expectation. It's the variation between Eden and ridiculousness. Utopia implies perfection. You cannot be perfect without making something else inferior to you. Otherwise, how would you be perfect? Same thing goes with utopia. Utopia is a society that cannot exist in the physical world because it would imply that the only thing you could ever experience would be that of death, dismay, or despair. It would all be low frequency because otherwise you wouldn't be able to see it, would you? Eden is a state of mental ability. It's a mastership. I'm not saying it's easy. I still get triggered. I still have my own problems. If you don't think it's that I'm going through my own ascension, please check yourself because you are living in delusion. What I've seen is very heavy. A lot of people that I know will not make it. But what did you expect? What did we expect? What is it that you all think is going to happen here? Do you think there is going to be a magic wand that shifts over the planet and realigns this for us? No. At the end of the day, this is our last shot to get Eden. And a lot of us are going to get it. Follow the breadcrumbs. You were tasked with specific things to do. All of you were. If you want the role I have, then come and get it. Follow the breadcrumbs. There are 3 books I've written. Read them. If you don't want to read it and you don't want to support me because you have a low ego, that's fine. Not my monkeys, not my show. This is not about a book sales. The divine is leading people who need to hear this message to hear it. I am not going to be liked by a lot of people, and I'm okay with that. You see, part of my ascension was that I had to be shown how little people regarded my life when I was not me. When I was living in the best possible, humble, sweet, loving, always giving person. And they chewed me up and spit me out. If you want to know how I got to who I am and why I am responsible for what I'm responsible for now, is because I didn't let you all talk me out of my personality. I didn't let you talk me out of my super consciousness. You see, it's really easy to suddenly say to people, oh, well, I get burned all the time, therefore I'm going to stop trying, and that it's a dog-eat-dog world. Life is tough. Fuck them. It's all about you. If you give all of yourself to someone else, then you're just going to get burned. There's a flaw with that. I'm going to point it out to you. Then you will never have love. You can never experience love. These are tough lessons. The interesting part is I was the lesson here. I wasn't the one learning it. Perspective is very important in this process, people. And to the elders, you understand what I'm saying. And if you're anything like me, you're kind of stuck in this situation right now where you're kind of looking around at people who are hating. And you're just like, you can't even live 2 seconds in my life. You can't know. Because so far the people who have been shown just glimpses of what's to come have fallen apart. Those of who've read my energy have cried. That's not ego. That is God validating the fact that I needed someone to acknowledge me at some point. Because I was losing hope. It was a soul crisis. You see, when you're cloaked, if you're an elder, you will know what I mean. Living a life of being cloaked and being chosen meant that not only did you deal with some hardships that people can't survive in this world, in the 3D, we're being given emperorships and empresses. We're becoming something sacred. We're sacred beings. We're not just here to entertain. We are here to teach. That means you earn it. There's a reason why not one person helped me edit any of those 3 books, grammatical errors and everything. I have already created my legacy. Now it's about helping others create their legacies. Like I said, I never was in the game. I never saw this as a game. I'm not here to compete with you. I'm here to lead you. If you don't like it, then you're not going to get very far because you need to let go of the ego. I am not the top of the top. I'm just in the office of the office. That's it. Follow your path. It's a hard path. Also, if you are looking, this is for someone specific, if you are looking to help people who are ascending and you are trying to make your name in a similar fashion, then I'm going to give you some very key people that maybe you should be helping. Morgane did a wonderful piece, an article she wrote, this is the Existential Shift, had made a piece about the psychiatric wards and how a lot of people who were ascending got lost in the way, and that some people may actually not be crazy, they just may actually be spiritual. Really good group to start working with, guys. In the Bible, there's a reference to the fact that we will be raising the beings from the earth. People took it literally as though we're raising the dead. In a way, we are. But may I reference the fact that you need a different perspective? Step back. The homeless population is in crisis. Why is that important? It's because if you look back at the creation of time, no one had a home. In fact, every single one of you is tasked with finding your way home. If you want to offset the balance, why don't you start working with those who literally have no home? So that you can start finding your spiritual home. Children are probably the most victimized beings on this planet right now. You were all tasked with a specific instruction. Do not let your children know that they are ascending or that you are going through ascension. You were tasked with that specifically for a very key reason. They were born with no karmic debt. The only thing that they now have is the debt that you gave them. You didn't take it seriously. Now these kids are aware of the crisis, and they are now adding karmic debt to themselves because of their parents. You have failed your mission. Stop what you're doing. Stop worrying about everyone else's bullshit and start looking at your kids. Fix that first. And the reason I know that this is going on is because not one of you, aside from me, is publicly taking on the fact that the house of God, or the perceived house of God, that bears his name, known as religion, is relocating child molesters throughout the world to unsuspecting nations and letting them prey on children. So obviously you don't care about your own fucking kids because you don't sure as hell care about anyone else's. You are letting this go and playing victimization, meanwhile you are the perpetrator. Tough lessons. Those are your 3 targets. You want to right align yourself? That's where you're going to start. Now, you don't have to listen to me. I'm not your mama. I'm not your friend. I'm not fucking you. We're not together. There's only one person on this planet that I'm going to marry, and it will be for the rest of my life. I have been on a path of celibacy for the past 9 months, and I'm probably one of the biggest hoes that has ever existed, but it was something God tasked me with. I originally thought it was because I needed to be in some sort of religious alignment, but I realized that's not it. You see, like I said, there's an epidemic coming with the mutation of the HIV strain and other STDs. You see, PrEP is just a medication. And like all medication, deviancy will occur. Variables will take effect. You are playing with fire. Stop looking at the world from your hoo-ha and your dick and start looking at the world from the perspective of your children. Your children are recording everything that you do, and you are going to be gauged according to how they fare. Welcome to Ascension. Welcome to the big leagues. If you are watching this, then you are worthy of seeing this. Ask yourself, if you are triggered in a negative way to what I'm saying, why? None of this is wrong. None of this violates anything. This is straight up just truth. If you're triggered, then find out why and work on it. You are being divinely guided here. And that's the truth, and you know it. That's it for me on Alan Altruistic Channels. I got to go to work in the public where I am a bartender, and I'm absolutely not worried whatsoever. I am facing my mortality in the best way I can, realizing it's just a doorway, which makes me probably one of the most powerful people on the planet. Pretty strong statement, considering how I'm probably the most humble person in the world. Oh, I know, God, he got all pissed off right now. Well, that wasn't me. Sorry, I just got yelled at. I'm not supposed to say that anymore. You see, when you're a good-natured person, I'm going to say this, I don't care what they say. Do not let people talk you out of your humanity. Do not let people freak you out over your humanity. If you are a giver and it is ingrained into who you are, then that is part of your test. You stand until you can't stand anymore. But what you do is that you balance it. When I'm still on someone's couch. I'm on an inflatable mattress. You know what I mean? I'm still on a floor in a bed. Like, I have no home, none of that stuff. But I still stop. And if I have made $5, I give $2 to the other person. I keep $3. That's balancing it. Don't let people talk you out of your empire. You see, the humanity that you show other people is the humanity you get back. As Natalie put it, good people find good people. The energy coming at me is I cannot describe how wonderful life is right now. And nothing has changed in the exterior. If anything, it looks like complete chaos to everybody else. Do you see me stressing? This is not about showing off. This is about the truth. What I'm trying to do is trying to give you guys the breadcrumbs. 1500s are repeating themselves again. Find your ancestor that you most have in common with, and then ask yourself, is this me? If you are an elder, you should be tapping into the consciousness that you are here to do. Tap into it quickly, but tap into it with honesty. That's it for me, guys. I gotta get to work. Go handle money. Oh my God! Blah, blah, blah. Guys, calm down. The show ain't over. It's just getting started. It only gets better from here. That's it for me on Alan Altruistic Channel. Bye, guys.